Hey everybody, Alex here, Out of the Park 23, Pittsburgh Pirates franchise, episode number 30, and we are back at the conclusion of the 2029 MLB season. As you guys can tell, and as you probably guessed from the last video, did not make the playoffs this year, finishing with a record of 71 and 91. Let's talk about this year. Things did get maybe a bit better since we last left off. You can see in September we did finish the year well, at least avoided a 100-loss type season, going 16-7 over this final month. But overall, while our batting average was decent, 8th in the NL, there were no really run support. We were 15th, 8th in batting average and last in runs. It's just super frustrating. Did not get on base well. We were 8th in average and 14th in on base percentage. I've tried to get guys that can get on base. Just did not work. And while pitching, I think got a bit better overall. Actually, we're first in several categories. Still 7th in ERA, 9th in starters ERA. Some of the young guys not developing well. I do want to talk about one thing, and you guys can see this in the headline of the video. A record has been broken, not by us, because we're not breaking any records, being a just pretty below average, miserable-ish type of team. But Fernando Tatis Jr. now holds the single-season home run record of 74, breaking Barry Bonds' mark of 73 on the final day of the MLB season against Colorado. A 10-5 win for the Padres. Tatis going yard off of, that's the Casey Mize. That is off of Casey Mize in the first inning. For the record, number 74. I don't have highlights enabled for non-Pirates games, and so I could not pull up the clip. I tried to look. I thought that was turned on. It was not, so unfortunately we can't look at that. It's not in the box score. You think that would make a headline or two when Fernando Tatis breaks a record that probably people thought would never be broken, but 74 home runs. Is that in here anywhere at all in his bio? Maybe it'll show up at some point. I'm not seeing it currently. He did win the Triple Crown though, so Tatis is the best player in the universe in this game and has been for quite some time. But this was even a career year for him at age 30. 13.5 WAR, 213 WRC plus, although it's actually better in 2024, but 74 home runs. Fernando Tatis Jr., a record holder. To look at our roster for 2029, and with some trades we'll talk about here in just a moment. Dolphin Ramirez did bounce back in a positive way, 33 home runs, maybe cooled off a bit after the All-Star break. Rowan Kelly, talk about guys for the future, since obviously season was a wash, big disappointment, guys that could help out in 2030. Rowan Kelly has a good chance to be a starter for us, acquired back in November 2028 for Alec Marsh, who was average for the Blue Jays out of the pen. He was a guy that came on strong. Kelly was 301 average, 114 WRC plus, can play left field, 13 home runs. That's a guy that hopefully will have a role for us in some capacity next season. Tabor Fast was okay, kind of hot and cold. Finished the year with 21 home runs. Ke'Bryan Hayes was fine. 107 WRC plus, 3.5 WAR year. Numbers were pretty similar to 2027. He got hurt last year, so it's hard to compare. Numbers probably a bit down in terms of the average, but WRC plus very similar overall. I think for next year, we're going to move Hayes to short, and Edwin Arroyo is a guy that I've liked for a long time. One of the best trades we've made. Not a good year for him. Had some injuries too, but a 70 WRC plus. I think he may become our top backup ideally, because there's some prospects that we'll talk about in a moment that I want to bring up. The issue with Arroyo is that his arbitration estimate actually just came down, and for a while it was showing me in the 7s as his arbitration estimate, which is going to be really hard to justify for somebody who was not going to be an everyday starter. But now it looks like it's estimating in the 5s, which is still a lot for us, but it is better. They're saying 5.8 as the estimate, because he made $4.8 million this year. That's going to help, create some money for us that we certainly need, and maybe make that more palatable to be able to, send an offer to Arroyo, but not necessarily have him start next season. To go back to the organization here, and I still have the filter on, RJ Schreck, not sure about his future. He's still, it was not a very good year at the plate. The average really dipped, way down from where it was in 2027, even down from where it was in 2028. He's not very happy with his role. He was losing playing time by the end of the year, too. Kelly, Nick Dial in center, always seems to come on strong towards year end. If he was just, if he could get that contact at 55, Void case to 45, maybe somehow push it to 50, I think he'd be a pretty good player. In center field, he's not ideal. He had a negative zone rating this year, unfortunately. He's probably better as a corner outfielder. There's potential for him to maybe be a top, backup at all three outfielder spots next year. Some things break right for us. If you have Kelly, some prospects that may come up. I would love to re-sign Emmanuel Margot, although I think he wants too much money at the moment because he had a good year in relatively short action. He got called up. Yeah, he wants $5 million. I can't do that right now. Hopefully that number comes down. Bubba Chandler had a good year. Cooled off towards the end, but he's a guy that's always kind of been in the mix. We called up late in the year Cade Arambai, one of our top prospects, 2024 third overall pick. Not a great start in just 17 games, but he'll be in the mix next year. So all that is to say, the Bats did not play well this year, but hopefully there's optimism for the guys that are in the farm system that will come up. For the pitching staff, it looks pretty different. Christopher Cruz, I basically shelved. He got hurt, and I just put him on the 60-day because we were out of it, and I don't want to risk Cruz getting injured. We can look at his numbers here if I can pull it up here briefly. 3.6 ERA, 118 ERA plus, I should say. Not his best year, but still a really good year and still the ace of our staff. So I've just been kind of managing him. We acquired, I think I had shown you guys, Adam Oler at the deadline. He kind of trailed off at the end. Luis Ortiz has come on strong. Numbers don't look great, but he has been productive for us at the major league level. So we look at the pitching stats here in the majors across 22 starts. So not a tremendous sample size, but a 118 ERA plus. And so he's a guy that should be in the mix, the back end of the rotation next year. Dylan Lesko got better. He did improve. That was good to see. Still want that changeup to at least get to 45. Hopefully it will, but he did get a lot better. Some other guys really did not do much for us. Dylan Questat, he was disappointing for sure. Again, I think better towards the end of the year. That's kind of the general trend line of this thing. If we look at a splits in the majors, you see in April, terrible, June, bad, July, better, and August and September over 8 starts, an ERA of about, we'll call it 3.5 roughly. And so that's something to hang your hat on in the future. Some other young guys have not been able to quite progress the way that we had hoped. Sal Ramos, I put him back down in the minor leagues because he was getting shelled. 6.5 ERA just probably brought him up a little bit too quickly. In terms of the Pirates bullpen, some guys that are going to be arbitration eligible. We talked about trading Nick Mears. Brandon Clark was really strong for us. Acquired him with that Nick Gonzalez deal last November, as we did Rafael Feliz, who was not quite as good as Clark, but still good overall. Beckway's been outstanding for us, and so I'm happy about that. We had claimed Taylor Lehman off of waivers. He did some kind of mop-up lefty work for us. So the bullpen was, acceptable. In terms of trades, we made a couple, and again, really no trades happen in baseball this year because of the financial system being screwed up. I'm hopeful it's going to be better for next year. We did trade Luis Oviedo. That's I don't want to bury the lead here, one of our top pitchers. We traded him to Houston. He did not have a great year for us in Pittsburgh. That did hurt his value, but Houston had some, I think, flexibility, dealt him. He was not very good in Houston, about the same as he was in Pittsburgh in terms of what we got back for him. A couple of players, third baseman Isaiah Edwards, just turned 22, infielder with really good defense. That bat may be good enough to be serviceable because of how good the defense is. Jonas Figueroa, I should say. He's a pitcher, ground baller, good mix, only 21, but he's a guy that hopefully could work his way into the rotation. And the big name we acquired here was Alex Anaya, who's kind of a utility guy, best left field, second base. Really like the bat. He still has a lot of development to do. Was in AA. Numbers were okay. Again, a bit better. I think he had a kind of a tough start whenever he got moved over, but He's a guy that, had a lot of success in high A ball. Still probably 2 years away, I would guess, but a guy that I think if that bat is able to really max out with 55 contact and get on base a ton, it's a guy that could hit legitimately, I don't know, about 300 and gets on base at a 340, 350 type of clip, a leadoff type of guy with some gap power. That's really interesting for us going forward. Other trades we made was Carter Binns on the move again, played for 3 teams this year. Texas, we traded for him and then traded him away to Kansas City, where he was actually worse than how he was with Pittsburgh with us, and he was really bad in Pittsburgh. So in terms of what we got for him, Carlos Carmona, not trying to steal any players here. I think maybe we got a little too much here, but he's an outfielder that can play left, can play right, and gets on base at a decent clip. And third baseman Luis Solis, who is currently injured, but he's a guy that, is never going to have a super high average, hit 266 in AA, but with some gap power, some home run power, and a good arm at third. And so as we kind of talk about shifting Hayes to short, as we talk about his future with the team, because he's getting probably closer to the end of his Pirates career, we're looking at some third base options. The one guy that I do want to talk about as well, if I go to my top prospects, because I do want to mention that here. If I find him on the list, we talked about him last video. Kaimani Morris is a guy that I think and I hope can be our starting third baseman next year. He was great in AA. The gap power, the on-base percentage, all looks really, really good. We got Morris in the Nick Mears deal, and he's come on strong. So he's a guy that I hope can be our opening day third baseman in 2030. One other minor deal we made right at the deadline, trading James Wood, one of the prospects we thought would be a star, did not turn out well for us, to the Giants, and he was great in San Francisco, so a good park for him. So good on him for being able to figure things out. Traded him in some cash for shortstop Mario Ortega, who's, again, super utility infielder. The bat's not very good, but again, we're not trying to steal players because Wood was not good for us. And then Jordan Arce, we'll say, another super utility guy, very similar profile overall. They may be more organizational type depth, but it was just us saying James Wood did not work out. He was a guy that we really went after, traded a ton for. One of our worst trades, really. I mean, we sent David Bednar, who we were going to deal, but he was a great pitcher for us. We thought Wood could really be a guy. Sent a couple guys over there for Wood and Gavin Turley, who's a great outfielder, but in a 3 WAR, maybe he should do something for us. And then we tried to get James Wood, and he was just really poor for us in Pittsburgh. Looking at his numbers here, 181 games started, negative WAR, 85 WRC plus. Just had one decent year in 2027. He struck out a ton, and that's just unfortunate there. So James Wood, now a Giant. Going back to the batters here, just to look at some of these names we brought up. Out of the park legend RJ Mayer, former 4th round pick. Finally, after all those years, 27 years old, toiling in the minors, I said, let's just bring the guy up, see what he can do. Dude hits 438 in a very small sample size. The BABIP is obviously absurdly high, 500. I don't know if he's going to do anything next year or again for us, but we brought up the out-of-the-park legend, RJ Mayer, who in just a short amount of time posted a 1.5 ZR in center field. The prospects in Pittsburgh look good. We mentioned Alex Anaya. Some of these younger guys we won't talk about too much. Victor Demos, he's 18. Who knows how those guys will go. Jose Pena has the power, but he's going to strike out a ton. He's kind of James Wood-like, but he can also really play well in the infield. So we'll see about him, what he could potentially do. He was only league average, though, in A-ball. He may be a really developmental type of guy. Tony Luces, I thought he was going to be ready for maybe this year, certainly next year. I don't know where he's going to fit. He did not do well in AA Altoona for us, kind of his first real bad year he's ever had in the minor leagues, so we'll keep an eye on that. Luis Morales was a guy that I was hoping that would come up at some point this year. He battled a ton of injuries. I think we talked about this last time. And so he's a guy that had a good season. He'll be up to the start of next year. I think probably our opening day starting second baseman. So we're going to be a really young team with some element of unknown next year, but probably need that just given that we're a 20 games under type of squad. Julian Williams, first round pick last year. crushed it in A-ball. He probably will not be with us on the opening day roster next year, but will be fast-tracked, hopefully, to the majors. And then Gil Quintos, talked about him quite a bit. DH only, unfortunately, with him, but a nice year, 25 home runs in Double-A. I'm just trying to figure out how he fits with Ramirez and Fast and Quintos. Again, he can play catcher as that emergency guy, but obviously not even as a backup. So I don't know how that's going to look, but he should be in spring training with us, and we'll go from there. From a pitcher standpoint, kind of talked about some of the names. Do want to mention Sal Medina, but he got blown up in Double-A in a couple of starts, and so he will not be trying to probably slow play these guys a little bit more. Ryan Kennedy's interesting guy. That's a guy that could compete for something for us next year, and that's probably the most notable names, although I do want to mention one other, and hopefully he'll show up on our top prospects list soon, because he certainly should. Our first-round pick this year. And Woken Bell is a guy that was great in Double-A in just 10 starts, but really good promising sign, and OSA and our scout likes him very much. Again, changeup needing to develop, but it's at least already 40 with 65 potential, with high work ethic. We'll just cross our fingers and see. Quick look at the playoff tree and standings. You guys can see the teams on each side making it: Atlanta, Padres, Cardinals, Mets, Rockies, and Cubs. In the NL, in the AL, the Blue Jays, Guardians, Royals, Mariners, Red Sox, and Astros. Of course, the Pirates not making it. Two making it from the Central. Cubs winning the Central with 91 wins. Cardinals behind at 89. Everybody else well below 500. We actually jumped the Reds late in the year for 4th place and really tied Milwaukee for 3rd. That 8-2 finish, winning our last 8 games. So again, something to feel good about for next year, but that doesn't really mean a whole lot. Braves had the most wins in baseball this year at 103. I believe the only team to win 100 games this year. That's kind of interesting. But you guys can see the standings here in terms of the worst team in baseball. That went to the Miami Marlins with a 57-105 record. So that's where the Pirates sit. Overall, not a whole lot else to talk about. I mean, there are things to discuss. Our team chemistry was good. We'll try to look for a new trainer. I was kind of taking a peek at guys that might be available, but I don't know if I see anything great out there. Might get a new pitching coach. Our staff have never been good at staff cohesion. I really don't know what I got to do to make that better, but that's where the Pirates sit today in terms of finances. Some money for next year, so hopefully we can do something. We get some arbitration guys coming up in Arroyo. A lot of bullpen arms: Guerrero, Feliz, Charles, Way. Those guys all are going to be arbitration eligible. I think they already have been for a couple of years now. RJ Schreck should be cheap to bring back, although his role, not quite sure. In terms of free agents, Nick Mears has been traded, just retaining that salary. Denny Bentley was terrible for us, and so we're just going to probably let him go. We traded for this guy, or claimed him off of waivers, I should say, with Chris Mott, and he was really popular and kind of got our fan interest up. He got hurt, but he's 34. What does he want? I don't think he'll come back. 1.7, probably not, but we'll see. And same with Adam Aller, trading for him. That was a rental, and Horbert Vivas is a guy that probably end of the road here, given the lack of defense, and the bat has never been as good as some of these numbers kind of sort of look. He had 150 plate appearances this year for us and was a negative WAR player. But in terms of free agents, Margot is one. And then some of the trade guys who retain salary, partial salary on Wood and Carter Binns. So it probably will be a fairly dull offseason, just trying to develop our own guys. And so I'm excited about what we have in the system. Probably nothing major in terms of trades, and our off seasons have been kind of lackluster, but we're the Pirates. We don't usually make a whole lot of moves, but we'll see. I don't know what's out there, have not really looked, and so we'll come back for the start of the 2030 season. I'll let you guys know what happened. Hopefully you enjoy this video. Please like the video and subscribe to the channel. I would really appreciate that. Thank you again for watching and listening, and we'll talk to you soon.